Well, I stripped all the plastic off of this front end, and I'm just trying to figure out how much of this I actually want to utilize. I could kind of graft the whole front suspension onto the front of the wheel horse, whether I use what's there as aluminum and then bolt it to the steel, or just recreate it with steel. I don't know. As far as the steering goes, I kind of like the idea of having it all as one assembly and just modify it as needed to fit the tractor. And I'm playing around with some different belts and whatnot. Got the oil draining so I don't have to worry about that spilling. And I took this exhaust manifold off and flipped it, and it got me quite a bit of clearance. So I'm thinking I'll cut this and put a 90 on it, one way or another, build something, whether I just do a bunch of pie cuts and weld it back together or who knows what. And then I can run the exhaust just the way it was designed. I won't have to really modify a whole lot of that, and it'll cut out right there. So obviously it'll be up off the ground, but I like that. It's a good thing to keep an exhaust system together for a two-stroke. It's good to have that expansion pipe the way it was designed by the factory, and so I'm going to utilize that if at all possible. If I can figure out how to graft this on, I'll gain a total of 11 inches of extra width from outside of ski to outside of ski compared to the tires that are on the tractor. My width of the tractor is 33 inches. This is 44. So I think that'll be really good for stability and a little bit of just ride comfort too. And then the ultimate goal is linking this engine to this transmission. I think I have found a belt that will work, and I believe that I can line everything up. See, I've got my clutch just loose so that plate can go in and out. I'm pretty sure that if I line everything up just right, and I cut some spacers, but they're too long, I can trim those, and it should work without the wheel horse clutch. I might need some belt guides just so, you know, it doesn't fly off. But I believe that just a direct drive and using the throttle as a clutch is going to work. And if you haven't figured out by now, I'm just going to wait on the skis. I want to get the engine running, and I want to get all the logistics of that thing figured out, and then I will work on making it awesome. So I've got that 2x4 tubing mounted to the bottom of the engine, so it is solid. And now I'm trying to figure out exactly where I want to have this in regards to the frame, forward and aft, and left and right. I've got a bunch of these new old stock belts, and looking at this, I can see that there's some bow in the belt, but it's pretty close. So with that front clutch clamped together, I will measure from the sheet metal right there. It's like 1/8 inch plate. I'll measure from here to there. That's my alarm. So I'll measure from that sheet metal, wherever it is, right there, from here to the belt, and then up front as close as I can from there to the belt. And I might even put a straight edge on the belt to try to keep some of that bow out of it, because there's a lot of years of being tangled up like that. All right, well, I'm pretty sure I'm close here, and I've got my motor mounts flush with the outside of the frame. And now, as far as my forward mount goes, just taking this belt into consideration, it's got some slop, but not too much. And my thought or plan is that as this clutch opens up or compresses on RPMs, it'll make that belt tighter and tighter. and it'll still have kind of the snowmobile effect. So if my driven pulley is small and my transmission pulley is large, I think I've got a 6-inch pulley on the rear, this can spin, say, 6,000 RPMs or 8,000 RPMs, and the back might only spin 4,000 to 6,000. But as it tightens the belt up and as that clutch gets closer, my ratio will change for a little bit and maybe get closer to, I don't know, maybe closer to 6,500 RPMs on the rear, which is still double my speed, plus my big tires in the back. So I should be able to do, I don't know, 30, 35. We'll see. So my belt is now off the transmission, and I've got this motor mount clamped in place in a couple spots. And it's time to drill some pilot holes and get my holes drilled in my frame. Okay, that about wraps it up for this video. The engine is mounted to the tractor on this side. I ended up using some fine thread 7/16 bolts that I had laying around. Basically, because of necessity, it was the only body size drill bit I could find that was sharp. And so this side, I drilled through the frame and into the bottom of the mounts. I'm going to take the mounts off, drill all the way through the tubing, and then make the top hole much larger so I can just get a socket in there. It's going to be tight for that first one up here because that's where the oil pump is for the 2-stroke oil, but I'm sure I'll be able to get it somehow, some way. Maybe one of those claws in there, drop it down into the hole, or a magnet, and then hold it in place with a wrench or a socket or something. But the hood fits. I did take some time to do a little revamp. So I need to finish the driver's side motor mounts. I got to work on the exhaust. I need to do some controls. I don't know if I'm going to do a foot throttle or wait until I come down here and see if I want to put handlebars on it and just put that thumb control back on. But I would like to do a control just for a test at least. I got to do wiring and a kill and maybe even mount a tether. I don't want to fly off this thing and it stays going. But then again, I also need to put a seat back on. I got to mount the oil tank and add oil. I need to build or modify the snowmobile breather box. Give myself a pull cord. See if I can give the stock tractor brakes some life. I need to put the keyway on the transmission pulley. I've got to give the transmission some lube. Make sure that fuel system's clean. Test drive it. See if this is even worth going forward with mounting that whole suspension system from the snowmobile. And then see how far I can run it and see what I got to do to fix it. I think that is a pretty good list of things to do.